Hello everyone. It is with great pleasure to introduce AgilePoint NX to you today. This session is designed especially for some of you who have not had the chance to receive a preview of AgilePoint NX. Let me begin by saying that AgilePoint NX is one of the most important releases that we have ever introduced ever since AgilePoint's inception back in 2006. It represents multiple years of effort and packed with innovations to take AgilePoint into the next generation. So some of you have used AgilePoint with SharePoint. AgilePoint NX will introduce a new eForm solutions to enable you to create more powerful workflows for SharePoint. But not just that, also for Office 365, Dynamics CRM, and other cloud applications. And many of you have also discovered AgilePoint actually is a powerful enterprise-class IBPMS. But with its cost effectiveness and ease of use, it really can be an IBPMS for everyone. And with a changing market, AgilePoint NX now is being adopted by more and more customers to create adaptive applications for both on-premises, but most importantly for cloud. So I know some of you have asked me, why AgilePoint NX? And when you see the product demo later on, inevitably some of you will be concluding that, saying, oh, so AgilePoint NX means that AgilePoint has a web-based designer now, or this is AgilePoint's cloud offering. It has its own eForm designer, or the product looks a lot easier to use. But really, AgilePoint is a lot more than that. If you look at the Gartner's prediction of application development trends, the four forces that are driving the trend, one of them is the rise of agile practice. And AgilePoint's architecture, being a metadata-based model-driven architecture, is already the most powerful architecture to support iterative agile developments. And the other force is mobile technology. Many people have heard of the mobile first being one of the key requirements to build applications. And the third is cloud computing. And when we say cloud computing, it's more than just replacing the server in-house with a VM. Let's take an example here. For example, many of you have done developments based on SharePoint on-premises. And when you try to create a workflow and you hear limitations, you'll be able to write some .NET coding to try to get around the limitation. But today, if you are moving to Office 365 using SharePoint Online, you do not have the option now to do .NET development to work around limitations. And that represents a new paradigm of creating application now for cloud. It's different. And finally, it's a web scale architecture. So if you have used AgilePoint before AgilePoint NX, you are very familiar with using Visio to do your process modeling. And we provide different .NET-based components, such as Enterprise Manager as a runtime dashboard. And we're also using SharePoint as a way to do user task management. But application you build based on this front end, you work in the Microsoft-centric on-premise scenarios. But today, we want to make sure that the investment you put in the application you create, it can work not only for on-premises, but it can also be repurposed easily to work with cloud, to work with hybrid, and mobile. Even today you say, we are never going to go to cloud. But it doesn't mean when you say you're not going to do that today, it doesn't mean 2 years later or 3 years later you're not going to do that. But you want to make sure that asset you created today can really be preserved and easily repurposed for that, instead of confined to one scenario only. With AgilePoint NX now, the complete front end is based on HTML5 and JavaScript. And even with Microsoft today, Microsoft is actually racing against time to convert a lot of its own interfaces, applications from .NET into HTML5 and JavaScript enabled. So that's on the front end. On the back end, the AgilePoint model-driven engine actually did not change. So when you look at AgilePoint NX, again, it's so difficult not to think about this looks like a totally brand new product. But it's very important to recognize that the backend engine did not change, but it is improved. So because it did not change, the same try and true engine is still being used in AgilePoint NX. This is a very important point here, because if we do say that this is a new engine, then it's going to take a number of years to stabilize. But in this case here, this is the same engine, so it's the same tried and true, except that we open up the capabilities that we already designed into the engine back in 10 years ago, such as a multi-tenancy capability. And also because application you build now will not necessarily now all sitting within the firewall and to be managed by Active Directory only. And it could be hybrid, could be across different domains. So there's also significant enhancement in identity management and access token management. So this is just a picture here to kind of indicate that web scale architecture. If you look at what are the top requirements of web scale architecture, it has to be a stateless architectural design. It has to be event driven. So even we designed AgilePoint back 10 years ago, we already thought of this. So as a company, so with these capabilities, AgilePoint can serve as a platform as a service to support that web scale architecture. And that platform as a service is multi-tenant enabled. And enable you that one place to install, one place to upgrade, but you can enable different tenant. This could be a different division or different country operations. They will receive as if they are dedicated BPM engine that's functioning for them, because it's a stateless in nature. From the deployment perspective, we still preserve all the flexibilities that you are able to deploy AgilePoint still as on-premises. But today, we offer AgilePoint now as hosted. We host this either on Amazon or Microsoft Azure as on-demand. So no hardware to install, no software to install. That you just sign up an account, you're ready to create applications right in one of the tenant with AgilePoint NX on-demand. And the same multi-tenant capability that you can actually leverage the same, but make it become your own. For example, it's a multi-tenant private cloud now. So again, for multinational companies, organizations with multiple different divisions or governments, and this is a powerful way of reduce the cost, because you have one place to install, one place to upgrade, one place to maintain. So with AgilePoint NX, we are actually seeing the use case scenario also evolving. So from the traditional, when AgilePoint was mostly being used as on-premises, as an enterprise BPM or SharePoint, and this is where that we see, either you use AgilePoint to extend the workflow or as a BPM to one of the line of business applications, such as SharePoint, or maybe your ERP, such as SAP, or your CRMs, or you build the end-to-end BPM application that span across them. But now with AgilePoint NX now, being a platform as a service now can actually become a powerful middleware that can orchestrate the business activities across different cloud services, still can work with another business system on premises, or maybe a hybrid on-prem and also cloud services. And this is actually more than just being able to exchange data across those different cloud services. It's involving being able to including the human activities and business rules and logic. So this is a way that you can really build a powerful applications. So with that scenario, we've seen the customer now building application that could span a hybrid scenario that partly could be on-prem systems. And also, the other half could be talking to different cloud services, such as Salesforce or Dynamics CRM Online, Office 365, and other cloud services. Perhaps the most powerful potential here is being able to take the BPM platform as a service to become a BPM-enabled application platform as a service. So with this, everything here, the focus now here is about building applications. That, for example, you can leverage a lot of different cloud services out there. You can subscribe to them. But instead of using them as a dedicated cloud services, but you're able to mix them, bring partially the different capability from different cloud services, or maybe even your on-premise systems, or the custom development that you can create based on AgilePoint, and you're able to mix partially those different capability, different services and APIs to very quickly create applications. Using BPM as an approach to do that, so application is much easier to create, easier to maintain, easier to change. And the application you created in nature will be SaaS enabled. If you are an enterprise, So AgilePoint NX could very quickly become how you can enable the enterprise app store mechanism, or we enable individual subject matter expert to be able to create applications where AgilePoint will be hosting a marketplace. So with that, we are seeing companies coming to us now, and they are saying, we have no infrastructures in-house. Everything we have is we subscribe to different cloud services. However, we still want to be able to create custom applications on top of those cloud services. And AgilePoint NX enables that very easily. So from SharePoint's perspective, nothing has changed, but just become even more powerful, and also with even more validation now. We are seeing more and more organizations coming to us, bring with them dozens or hundreds of workflows they have built with other SharePoint workflow add-on products. But now they say they're going to migrate everything onto AgilePoint because they say they really need to look for a platform that will be a future-proof and future-stable workflow platform for SharePoint. So this picture here kind of summarizes when you use AgilePoint on demand, where you can work with, for example, other cloud services like Office 365 and the different workloads in Office 365 and other cloud services. You can still work with the on-prem systems exposing services that are interacting with AgilePoint on demand. So with that, we're just going to summarize, what you're going to see in the demo very quickly coming up, that a couple key components. Number one, the process engine. So the process engine did not change, but is massively improved. So it's still the same try and true engine, but now we open up the web scale architectural benefits, such as support multi-tenancy, and also it can serve as a platform as a service. And the second component here is a web-based process designer. So instead of Visio, now everything's web-based. And however, this designer now is not just serve as a process designer. With AgilePoint NX, we expand the definition of what you can build. Instead of leveraging SharePoint as a user task management, and now you have a completely integrated HTML5 enabled portal called AgilePoint NX1. So this is also a new component. And perhaps one of the most important components that a lot of organizations coming to us today is they are looking for a replacement for InfoPass. And AgilePoint offers an HTML5 enabled e-form builder. And this form builder is probably one of the most powerful form builder in the marketplace. And the form you created can work with on-premise applications, but naturally work with cloud or in Office 365 and also mobile. And the reporting is improved AgilePoint report components, and also this native mobile dashboard available to enable you to very quickly for application you created, right away the mobile enablement can be deployed with no extra development efforts. With that, I'm going to hand this over to Keith to give you a live demonstration of AgilePoint NX.